Early one morning, I woke up to someone pounding on the front door. I raced down the stairs. The police were at the door, and they had an arrest warrant. Someone had accused Dad of stealing money from the city.
This is outrageous!
My husband is an honest man. This has to be a mistake. The police ignored us, arrested Dad, and hauled him off to jail. I was devastated. Miss P fainted, and Amy was nowhere to be found. Dad swore he was innocent and tried to fight the case, but during the trial, the prosecutor called Amy to the stand. She told this crazy story about how my dad was a crook. The mayor is a monster. He stole money from the children's hospital, a homeless shelter, and a retirement home. I couldn't let him hurt all those innocent people, so I printed copies of all his bank transactions and gave them to the police. The lawyer showed the judge all the evidence. Dad swore he was innocent, but the evidence against him was too strong. On the day of the sentencing, everyone in town was there, even Miss Boot. The judge sentenced Dad to 20 years in jail. Dad and Miss P started crying their eyes out, and Amy flashed a sinister smile. I was so angry, my hands started shaking. Then Amy whispered in my ear, "Too bad about your dad. Now he'll rot in jail and no one can do anything about it. Funny how a few little lies could do so much damage." Just as I was about to smack Amy in the face, Miss Boot pulled me away. "Calm down, child. Act like a lady. Your father taught you better than that. I heard what that nasty girl said to you, but hitting her won't help your case. She's evil and she ruined Dad's life. We have to stop her. The best way to fight a lie is with the truth." Miss Boot walked away without another word, and then I got an idea. That night, Miss P, Amy, and I were packing our things to move out of the mayor's mansion. While Miss P and Amy were downstairs, I snuck into Amy's room. She hadn't packed yet, so I searched around to find evidence to prove that my dad was innocent. I was just about to give up when I found a small notebook tucked away in her drawer. Inside, it had pictures of me and my dad with X's on our faces, a bunch of old newspaper clippings, and a photograph of a young Amy standing next to an old woman in a hospital bed. The articles explained that Amy's grandmother lost her apartment after my dad signed a bill to demolish the building and replace it with a shopping mall. Amy's grandma collapsed during a protest, hit her head on the ground, and fell into a coma. It was such a sad story. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around to see Amy with this demented look on her face. "Your dad had to pay for hurting my family, and now it's your turn." Amy picked up a broom and charged toward me like a maniac. I thought I was a goner, and then Miss P and Miss Boot appeared out of nowhere. Miss Boot snatched the broom out of Amy's hand. Miss P stepped between me and Amy.
"Amy, stop this right now. What happened to your grandma wasn't the mayor's fault. The city council made that decision."
"But it's not fair."
"I know, honey, but what you're doing isn't right. It won't help your grandma, but perhaps I can. My son is a neurologist, and I can ask him to take a look at your grandmother, but under one condition." Miss Boot glanced at me. "You tell the truth about my father." Amy agreed. We all went to the police, and Amy told them how she lied about Dad and had hired someone to make up all the evidence against him. Dad was released from prison, and Miss Boot fulfilled her promise. She told her son about Amy's grandma, who decided to put her into a clinical trial where she had a great chance of recovering fully. On the day of Amy's trial, Dad felt so sorry about Amy and her grandma that he asked the judge to be lenient. The judge sentenced Amy to a year of therapy at a mental institution. Dad was reinstated as mayor, but every day he made sure to spend more time with me and Miss P. Miss P apologized for not believing me and taking Amy's side, but I still felt guilty. Dad, if I hadn't lied so many times to you before, you would have believed me when I told you about Amy. None of this should have happened. This is all my fault.
You can't blame yourself, honey. You had no control of what Amy would do. All we can do now is pick up the pieces and try to move on with our lives.
And that's what we did.